Thank you for all of you joining us on a very rainy afternoon, which is not atypical of Hong Kong. And I'm also extremely thankful to Dr. Miao, who has just launched his AI center in Shanghai, UNESCO Center. So with such a busy schedule, he still sort of agrees to give the keynote. And obviously, the theme is very important, and I really appreciate the perspective of looking at AI competencies from all the way from schools to higher education. So maybe I'll just give a brief introduction to Dr. Miao. Dr. Miao is the coordinator of UNESCO International Institute for STEM Education, the chief for technologies and AI in education of UNESCO since 2011. He is also a professor in AI in education at Beijing Normal University. He has been playing a defining role in shaping global policy agenda for 20 years. He authored a unique set of frameworks to promote human agency, inclusion, quality, and system effectiveness, covering ICTs in education, open education resources, mobile learning, distance education during COVID crisis, and the international, and also he's very much working in all different areas. He has convened more than 30 international conferences or workshops and reaching more than 20,000 policymakers from over 150 countries. And he has supported up to 50 countries for the drafting of frameworks, prioritizing AI skills building for disadvantaged students and maybe also advantaged ones. So he obviously has a very long CV and honors, and I'm not going to waste your time, or well, not really waste, but I think we can use the time more productively by inviting Dr. Miao to start. Dr. Miao, please.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Your Excellency, Professor Yang, distinguished professors, distinguished teachers, and students. It's really my honor to be invited to join you through an online presentation to this session, because to me, University of Hong Kong, we all know that it's ranked very high in the field of education. So being able to speak to you and sharing some ideas with you is really a very high honor to me. So I will focus on AI competency development, but with the keyword human-centered. So I would like to flash how we have been watching, reviewing, and guiding the AI in education in general. So we started the program quite earlier, and if we're counting from now, it's almost 10 years. We started from 2017 and starting to plan, launch programs, and then we started to have outputs in 2019. In 2019, we developed, released, and actually adopted by more than 150 countries the first international consensus on AI and education. So far, it's the first and also only one international consensus on this topic. And once it's published, even it's a political document, it has receiving quite high academic citation. And also from UNESCO, because up to this year, UNESCO already has an 80-year history. Over the 80-year history, among millions of our publications, usually every month we calculate the top 50 most downloaded publications. So this publication has been among the top 30 for a little bit humble, actually more than even 4 or 5 years. And the second one is that in 2021, 2022 is COVID. We publish other publications, but not on AI. And 2021, we have this one we call AI and Education Guidance for Policymakers. And we already made it available in 8 of 9 languages. And the English language has been quite strong in terms of downloading citations. So far, it's reached, I did not calculate over recently, but almost 2,000 citations. in the Google Scholar. And it has been always the top 10 in terms of download among all the UNESCO's publications. And its Spanish version sometimes also reached the top 10. And in 2022, we publish a report. It's the first, so far to my knowledge, is also only one, a mapping of the global K-12 AI curriculum, because everybody is talking that AI competencies is important. All the president, prime minister, and minister of education were thinking that we need to develop a student AI competency, but AI curriculum is the mainstreaming channel. So we wanted to know how many countries developed AI curricula in 2021. So we published a report in 2024 and on the K-12 AI curricula, especially the government-driven, not driven by a company. At that time, only 11 countries had such kind of curricula. And this report is also very strong in terms of citations and downloading from UNESCO's always top 30. And in 2023, 6 years after ChatGPT, we published the first UN agency's guidance on AI in general AI in education. It's a guidance for generative AI in education and research. So once it's published, it's also, I think it's the most influential publication in this field. So far it's reached, it's also conservative number, it's more than 1,500 citations in Google Scholar. And once it's published for 1 year, it was the #1 most downloaded publication among millions of UNESCO's publication continuously. It's the first ever, a publication ranked #1 for more than 1 month, 2 months. And then after these two one published, this one becomes #3. In 2024, we published the AI competency framework for teachers and students on the same day. And once they are published, it's almost always #1, #2. Sometimes, #2 might be UNESCO's recommendation on the ethics for AI, because that one was produced by an entire sector, which is the sector for social and human science. But this one is only produced by a small team. So far, that's our publication. And over the last 2 years, from 2024, at least 1.5 years, we did not, at least from me, I did not publish new one, because I'm drafting a new publication. It's quite demanding. I'm authoring, I call it Guidance on AI in Schools. It's a very simple title, but to me, it's the most complex topic. So that's how we are, that's because I'm facing scholars, I'm facing academic researchers, also PhD and master students better to show that UNESCO is also publishing and with a very high quality publication. And these two actually because we publish, we know that you publish, you need 6 months for people to read author and publish. So after 1 year, we already reached 900 citations from these two publications. So based on that, we are not only publishing, because UNESCO also has a function for capacity development. So we have been promoting our publications over the last 2 years through a project we call G77 Plus China. Actually, the member of this group, G77 Plus China, is more than 78 countries. It's covered more than 130 countries. And we reach all of them, and we train them based on their official language. For example, we have Arabic language for Arab states. We have Francophone French language for Francophone country in Africa. We have Anglophone English for Anglophone country in Africa. We also have English for Asia Pacific. Actually, we organized 2, one online, one in Bangkok. And then last year in December, we organized an online one based on Arabic for Latin America and the Caribbean. So far, this framework have reached more than 1,500 policymakers, because we train them is not only a presentation, it's 1 day for teachers' competency, secondly for students' competency. And because of this strong promotion, over 50 countries have developed. For example, Egypt launched its national AI competence framework for teachers last year in October by its minister. is covering almost 1 million teachers of Egypt. I think this year in May, early May, Brazil also launched their national AI competence framework for teachers, covering 2-3 million teachers. So that you can see the practical impact. So come back to the topic. To me, we are every of you is a scholar, so we are reading many papers. So to me, if we want to find the core essence of the transformation, I think we need to focus on the new pedagogy, just like the title of this year's seminar here. We need to really think what are the new trends of the learning and the teaching to rethink the foundation of the learning theories. To me, we need to think when AI is kind of technology try to imitate our humans thinking and humans behavior. Some people call it a human-like actor, and more and more people are talking about the machine agencies. So if that's a machine agency, no matter you recognize it or not, enter this pedagogical relationship before. If we talk about active and interactive pedagogical relationship, that's the interaction between teacher and student. Of course, we have content, but the content does not have agency. So the two actors with the agency before were teachers and students. Now seems like more and more stronger and stronger AI agency coming to this relation. We need to rethink what's their triangular relationship and how it's affecting our intellectual process and also intellectual outcome, and how we should assess the outcome and how we define the access. So I try to figure out and try to have my interpretation. So for AI, we need to, for both of three of them, each of them, we need to think from the negative perspective and also the positive, which means what we want them or what we expect them to contribute to teaching and learning. I think it's very important for Hong Kong, especially for this faculty of education, is that we need to think AI not only from the applications or from certain agents, but from the very profound implications of AI for our infrastructure, including the general social economic infrastructure, but also the infrastructure we have been building for our teachers, for our researchers, for our students. So from kindergarten to the schools to universities, we have been building a kind of infrastructure. You have the Hong Kong University, you have campus, you have this kind of lecture hall, and you have any kind of facilities, and you have library, and you have textbook, and you have facilities that will enable your teachers' research, professional development, their teaching, and also students' learning. But this intellectual, if we can, we call it intellectual infrastructure. But this intellectual infrastructure has been disrupted silently, but very powerfully. So we need to keep this hidden disruption, to surface it and to study what it means for us. As a social, as a society, as a kind of entirety of the society, to me, if we take a global perspective, AI is dividing the intellectual infrastructure. It means that, for example, the cities like Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, and the developed countries, UAE, the teaching and the learning facilities and infrastructure have been excessive. You have more than enough facilities. Every student has a laptop, you have computer in library, you have a mobile phone, and you have AI. It's excessive kind of intellectual facilities. But in Africa, they even do not have a desk. They even do not have a table. They crouch down or stand in the classroom without a roof. Many of their classrooms even without a window. And no need to talk about the textbook. The teacher will basically draw on with the checkboard and to teach a student very basic writing and reading. So compared to them, which means AI is dividing the intellectual infrastructure. At the same time, AI has been inventing or try to replacing or undermining our humans agency, or we can use another word, I call it intellectual sovereignty. Because the sovereignty, we have a state sovereignty, but we also have the intellectual sovereignty. And we need to reclaim the intellectual sovereignty, not to go back to the past, but we need to redefine what do we mean by intellectual sovereignty when AI has been used, or we not to use the word use, when our students have been exposed to AI so widely and so ubiquitously. So how we should redefine the intellectual sovereignty is a big topic, big question to ask for Faculty of Education, especially for University of Hong Kong. If you don't have an answer, nobody will have an answer. And then we need to think what kind of AI we expect. To me, we need to expect safe AI for our students, because AI is threatening school safety. It's threatening also the safety of our university students. And it's not inclusive. We need to make it inclusive, as inclusive as possible. And so far, most of the AI tools are not so specialized. They are general AI tools, fundamental AI models have been used directly by our teachers and students for their research, teaching, and learning. So we need to think what kind of specialized AI we need to define, design, produce, and provide to our students and teachers. For students, as we know from Harvard University, especially last year, there's quite a few very famous researches showing that, AI, if you don't use it very properly, already undermines students' agency and also undermines student intellectual development, because it's trying to replace our thinking process. Students just click and find answer. They will skip the intellectual process, thinking process. They lost the opportunity to train their brain to have a cognitive development opportunity. So far, the research results all show that AI would undermine students' creativity. And we need to think what kind of human AI skills we want to develop. And in the long run, as Professor Yang mentioned, the best way to think of the future is to create, is creating the future. We need to think what kind of future we want to create, what kind of future human society we want to create. And for that, what kind of human society citizenship we want to create in the AI era. And for teachers, is the same. AI is threatening teachers' agency and also their right to work. We need to protect the teachers' rights first, and then to renew the definition of teachers' competency, and also redefine and continuously support teachers to upskill and to upgrade their competency. And we are not living alone. Hong Kong has your culture. In China, we have our Chinese culture. So AI so far is driving a kind of AI colonization, or to colonize the minority civilization, because most of the AI model are trained by the dominant culture, which means they are trained by language, the corpus, which means the speakers of the corpus behind the training data. Their customer, their cultural standards, their cultural norms will be reinforced in the AI model, and they will influence the students' value development, especially for the children and the youth people's fostering of their values. So, and also, of course, in the culture, we have the cultural creativity, including the literary and art creativity. We need to protect our humans' creativity and promote the cultural diversity before we talk about AI for any kind of creativity. Based on this, that's my general observation, is that AI is far from sufficient maturity, because we are still lack of safe foundation AI, and we lack of specialized AI tools. We lack of skillful users and support. We lack of social contract about AI, human AI interaction. So if we take AI and education in the two-way interaction, so AI for education so far is the effect is quite blurred. To me, the effect of AI for education is the spillover effect of AI competency, which means no matter how advanced AI tools you introduce to schools, to university, if the professors, teachers do not have AI competency, if students do not understand AI, the effect will be discounted significantly. And only through the administrative or commercial drive will not achieve what we want. That will produce some anti-educational effects. In the other direction, if we talk about the education for AI, education's role in solidify AI competency and its long-term impact have been verified, especially in China, because my first job in China was in charge of the development of that time we call ICT curriculum standard. In 2004, we released the first national ICT curriculum standard for upper secondary school. And after I left China, my colleagues updated this standard twice in 2011, 17 and 2020. So that's the structure of the ICT curriculum covering AI in the 10 to 12 grades. So you can see that's at that time in 2024 is almost the first country we introduced AI as a subject in the upper secondary school, almost one of the first group of countries. So which means in China, so far it's already more than 22 years, we officially introduced AI to schools. So because I was a director, I monitored the implementation every year. So I was very realistic. I'm not idealistic to see that once we introduce, all the students will learn. We calculated the number because, for example, in China, maybe 10% of the students will reach upper secondary school. Among them, maybe 10 students will learn AI. Among them, again, 10% may choose AI as their subject in the university. But don't forget, every year in China, we have 200 million students. Even you divide it by 10,000, still every year we have quite a lot of students learn AI. They are the developer of DeepSeek. And not only that, after that, I left in 2024, the Chinese government also introduced the national curriculum standard for 1 to 9. When I was there was some courses, but not from national, that was school level. And the year before, in 2004, the Ministry of Education, released a kind of strategy to see that to introduce AI curriculum, starting from this year, and to all the school students. Last year, I was wondering in 2024, I was wondering how they can spiral the AI, different AI areas, deeper learning, and blah, blah. And then last year, when I went back to China for summer leave, I found the answer. This is the curriculum from Beijing. You can see they have AI foundation, AI application. They follow up our AI competence framework from UNESCO. You can see they have quite, navigate the different AI applications, foundational AI skills, data, started from a very, very specialized one. And then you can see they already have the techniques, concepts, and data, algorithm, computing, and going deeper and deeper, you can see the spiral sequence of the curriculum. So that's my literature review about how China has been producing AI talent over the last 20, 25 years. So as I said, if we all understand from factual education, we understand the best. The effect of education will require the 5 year, 10 year, even longer. You can see from China. We started 25 years longer, and now we build a pyramid for China. You see in the K2 1 to 9, that's more or less the curriculum structure. Upper secondary, grade 10 to 12. That's the structure. And don't forget, we also have university in China. We have thousands of universities in mainland of China. They also have a big initiative, and they want to also promote the AI education in university. This data is already outdated. Almost 1.5 years ago, there was more than 210 universities offer more than 100 AI plus majors. They also have a very, very frontier AI in education or AI education initiative to incubate innovations they call AI 101 and aimed to develop 15 core majors plus 10 use case-based core extended majors, and even plus 2 comprehensive experimental courses. They all targeting the top level talent. What's the result? I try to connect to the result. That's the very objective. The third-party statistic about China's production of high-level AI talent of the world is also outdated. In 2022, according to their investigation of the data analysis, they said that 47% of the AI talents were produced by China. I believe now it's more than 50%. And you can see it's more than double of US, 4 times almost Europe. You can see the change. So that's how, education contributed to AI. As I said, based on this, that's why 99% of the core developers of local AI model like DeepSeek, more than 99% of them are from China. And I calculate their age. When we introduce AI to schools, many of the core developers of DeepSeek were exactly in the upper secondary school or in the middle school. So they somehow benefited from our curriculum, and then they benefited from university curriculum. Some of them went to US and come back. So that's the long-term impact. Come back to the topic of today. So that's why, to me, I deeply believe the AI competency is the most important factor if we are talking about effective AI in education, any kind of initiative. So for AI competence framework for teachers, I promote a K-term sentence. I think we are focusing on moving towards rights-based autonomous use of AI in education. If you ask me what's the importance of the core essence of teachers' AI competence, I think first of all, we protect their rights. Secondly, they need to have a competency to have autonomous trade-off on when to use, when not to use, what to use, how to use, and for what kind of purpose. The teachers need to have this kind of autonomous kind of competency. Otherwise, if they don't have autonomous, they are waiting for others to tell them the use of AI in education must fail from the very beginning. So, and we developed this AI competence framework through 2 years, more than 2 years. I mobilized $1 million to develop $1 million US to develop this 2 AI competence framework. So we organized quite a lot of consultations. We come up with this only a model to summarize the key principles on how we can usher and guide, as Professor Yang said, the teacher education to develop your training program. I think by the end, we need to figure out what kind of social contract we need to reimagine and also to create for the human-AI interaction. So we try to summarize all the key terms that you can hear from the published scholarly articles or from the seminars for how to debunk AI hypes, understand the AI as a threat from the design, ensure human and social value to prevail, and then human accountability, inclusive explainability, human control, adjust the teacher's duty, uphold teacher's rights, and the ethical principle for validating AI, and even the climate-friendly, which means more sustainable AI model. And we try to structure and organize these principles in an easier way for the audience to understand and to navigate around. And based on that, we have quite a lot of discussion, deliberation, try to define how can we define teachers' duties in the AI society. We came up with this, that the precondition is that a teacher must be trained or supported to become this. They cannot naturally become this kind of duty bearer. So first of all, we hope that they could be the critical reviewer of AI and AI society citizens. And secondly, co-creator of ethical rules, not only to be given, the ethical rules and regulation, but teacher need to embody them and then internalize them, and sometimes co-create ethical rules for her or his classroom, or for her and his schools. And then teachers should become a role model for AI ethics. And of course, teacher, if possible, we should guide them to become co-designers of AI-assisted learning settings. And this should be a human accountable designer and facilitators of AI pedagogy. And this should be the role model of lifelong learning of AI. So that's the duties. And then we come up with this framework. We have, for teachers, we had 5 aspects times by cross-cutted by 3 levels. Altogether, we have 15, I call them AI competency blocks. And then we landed, for each of the AI competency blocks, we deliberate intensively to try to find, if possible, the most summative, and powerful word to summarize this AI competency block. For example, the first block we call AI agency, human agency. Second one, human accountability. And third one, the teacher's social responsibility in the AI society. We are not only throwing out the key terms. Later on, I will introduce. We try to understand them by ourselves first, and then try to provide guidance on how to train them, and how to define them, how to train them. So I will introduce later. And you can see for each of them, we try to find a key term. And we need to understand the context, because to make this AI competence framework context sensitive, we understand what kind of situation teachers are facing, or school leaders or teacher educators are facing in schools. So we know that any teacher needs to have a very basic a kind of rudimentary AI literacy. This level is the rudimentary entry level for all the teachers, which means if any people organize the training for teachers, all the teachers should at least reach this level. If some schools, some districts would like to develop some master teacher, this could be the benchmarking indicator. And we all know that in many schools, countries, they have expert teachers. So, and we cannot block them from becoming expert teachers. This could be the goals for them. So for the aspects, we have a human-centered mindset, ethics for AI, AI foundation and application, AI pedagogy, AI for professional development. It's the first time that UNESCO produced some influential framework earlier than OECD, because usually we are chasing up OECD. OECD published something, or we are a little bit jealous, and we try to catch up. This time we published this one more than a half year earlier than OECD, and then OECD also published another framework, because we already use AI competency. They use AI literacy framework, and I think they have many problems. At least they does not explicitly highlight ethics of AI, because according to our survey, because as I said, I already organized the training for thousands of policymakers. For each of the training, I conducted a kind of survey to see, have you validated the importance of this aspect? Do you think this aspect is not important, does not have any value if you think we can delete them? But you can see, they think the ethics of AI is the most important aspect, but OECD hide it to the lower level. So you can also see that the human-centered mindset is also very highly validated. And so that's the validation from the policymakers. Later on, I will show another validation. And then, as I said, we are not stopping there. We try to provide a specification, which means because we are targeting teacher educators or teacher training institutions, like including Faculty of Education, like Hong Kong, University of Hong Kong. How you can understand this framework? We think from that. So we try to have a scenario associated definition of AI competence, because for all these key terms, if we have a very abstract definition, we will detach the key term from the scenario, from the reality. We try to once again return them to the real scenario, and from the scenario to define these AI competency blocks. And then we think if, for example, the Faculty of Education of your university would like to train, what kind of goals you can set up for your participating teachers or pre-service teachers, and then what kind of training methods is appropriate to human agency, what are the training methodology is proper to operational skills. So they require different training or learning methodologies. So we try to really define this It's really, really painful process. I did it, it's very, very painful because you can see that we have 15 AI competence block. For each of them, just like weaving clothes, for each of them, I need to weaving 4 table units, and it's already 16. And each of them, we have many, many key terms. For each of them, I need to weave. And also not only within the key term, but also what's the interrelationship between this and the others. And then I need to define the measurable teacher's ability and the performance. And also after training, what's the change from teachers' behavior and the attitude we could expect. So that's how you see in each of the human agency, we need to define what do we mean by human agency in this AI framework. When I wrote this, authored this AI framework, I tried to find a definition. No, I did not find it. Then I defined it. So that's my thinking. Many of them is like the human agency, I try to define. Human accountability, I try to define. And so that's how we define this. And then for ethics, it's the same. And what kind of, because if you search internet, you can find at least more than 100 ethical principles around the world. You cannot ask teachers to memorize, understand, practice more than 100 ethical principles on AI. So I summarized into 6 most essential ethical principles and make them very transferable, which means if teacher understands this, they can transfer the ethicals of AI to the other scenarios and to learn new ethical principles and to learn how to make safe and responsible use. And then what does it mean, co-create ethical rules for teachers and how they can do it and how you can train teachers to do it. For AI foundation, I think that's the key term, quite familiar to professors like Nancy Law. We need to go back to the learning theory. What's the learning theory behind the knowledge and skill? We need to make them transferability, the knowledge and skills. It's not that, okay, you train them about these products. They know how to operate this product, but they do not know if the new products comes. We want to help teachers to understand the transferable knowledge and transferable skills and to help them to develop adaptivity. And if possible, if it's an expert teacher, they learn the creativity. And the pedagogy is the most difficult part in this AI competence framework because we don't have a very clear picture how the pedagogy will be impacted, how the pedagogy, or even whether the pedagogy will be transformed. If a pedagogy will be transformed towards what kind of direction? There's no clear answer. Even now, there's no clear answer. So 2 years ago, when I authored this one, I tried to think how we can train teachers. So I came up with this. First of all, they need to mobilize or leverage their knowledge about pedagogy. They use their pedagogical understanding, for example, how to analyze student learning needs and how to motivate students, how to adapt the pedagogical method to their students and to their subject, and then to evaluate the AI's appropriateness for their teaching. And then, which means I started from instructional design, moved to learning design, how to not only to design teachers teaching, but also how to design student learning, and then to design very complex human, which means teacher, student, AI scenario. So I follow this pathway to guide teachers to think and gradually deepen their knowledge and skills on AI pedagogy. And the last one is also very difficult because even at that time, I did not know what kind of AI tools could be used for teachers' professional development. I found that LinkedIn is a good tool, so I try to understand how this kind of tool could enhance teachers' the professional development. We define the teachers' professional development into lifelong learning, teachers' professional learning as a lifelong learning, and then peer learning, peer coaching, and then organizational learning, and then if possible, then we have a professional transformation. So that's teachers. I will not go to the detail, and we also have an implementation strategy. We believe that the government, no matter it's Hong Kong's special government or any kind of provincial government, need to regulate AI to ensure trustworthy AI tools for education before we ask teachers to use them ethically, which means we need to make the AI tools ethical before we ask teachers to use them ethically. We cannot throw some unethical tools into classroom, ask them to use them ethically. It's unfair to them. So to me, I have been shouting out for years that every country, every government should develop a validation mechanism following the government national regulations on AI, but have a specialized validation mechanism on AI in education. When I wrote this AI competence framework, I did not have example. Again, last year, there's example from China. Beijing Normal University developed a kind of sandbox for evaluating, not really validating, but evaluating educational large language model. It's a starting point. And behind that is a technical standard for educational large language model. I want to promote again. And the second one, also the regulations, it's not one word, we should have regulation. That's the historical, once again, it's a kind of literature review. I try to conduct a literature review on how China has been regulating AI in general, including some regulations on education. You can see that's I'm very confident that it's almost more than 80% of the regulations laws China has been developing. I want to say that actually over the last 6 months, half a year, I have tried to figure out if we want to have a universal AI law, how it will look like. I formulated a kind of universal AI law, but I'm not presenting it now. And secondly, to build an enabling policy and condition, we need to think of what's the barrier, and then the policy strategy should work towards overcoming this kind of barrier. And then also formulate local AI competence framework. We already have quite a lot of examples. I introduced some from Egypt and Brazil, but from China, they also have this kind of a local AI competence framework. And then we need to have a kind of agile, flexible, and hybrid training and supporting program. We shared 2 examples. One is from the European Commission, the other one is from Singapore. And this one, maybe some of the professors or students here, if you're interested, you may think, I already gone through some published article. You know, how we can have a kind of a contextual performance-based assessment about teachers' AI competency. We provided some example or some framework in our AI framework, but this could go deeper than this. For student AI competence framework is similar, but a little bit different. So the keyword is that we need to prepare responsible and creative AI citizens. This is the first publication that promote the key term, I call it AI citizens. And for students, I always start from this allegory, Plato's allegory of cave. Because 3,000 years ago, Plato tried to visualize how the society look like. And actually, after 3,000 years, this allegory is still very, very insightful to us if we want to understand AI's very, very deep and profound impact on our current society, but also on the future society, which means the society our students here will be living in. So to this, you see that AI is complex. Professor Yang was very humble to see that he does not actually, he understands a lot, I believe. But AI, you see, it's more like this fire, any kind of algorithm or architecture for AI system. Basically, they project the data they collected from Earth, your driving data, your daily life data, your web searching data, and the paper you published, and even the lecture, online lecture presentation. They project and try to find some pattern, and then they produce some outputs. And then they use many platforms, applications to like NetShare to package them and to show to them, to sell to us. And then this is the user. Users have been enslaved by the algorithm because they find your interest. Oh, you like a beautiful lady, they always show the beautiful lady. If you like very abstract thinking, they always show you some abstract theory lectures or something like that. And that's the social exclusive, because most of the AI models, when they collect the data, process the data. Sometimes they label the data, sometimes they don't clean the data. But these data workers, usually they are in the basement or internet cafe of Africa. There's a statistic. Most of their data workers, their average salary is under $2 per hour or even per day sometimes. So we always tell students that we need to go out to the real world, learn from the real world, because we see that we can learn knowledge from observation, from reasoning, and from experiment. So which means you need to observe the real world. 3,000 years ago, when we said that, it's correct, because the real world was not polluted. But now the real world has been polluted. Even especially the internet has been heavily polluted by the AI-produced data, produced content, and produced answers. So the question is, what sort of AI competency can free us from this kind of situation? And so my question is that I want to echo Professor Yang's first ask, what's the word in the future? What kind of word we want to create? We need to, at the real world in the upcoming AI era, is a word to build. It's not a word waiting for us. It's a word to create. And there's full of tensions between human centralism and machine centralism. Or we need to find a balancing between human centralism and machine centralism, I believe. So the very big ask is, what sort of human society do we want to use Professor Yang's word to create in the AI future? And what sort of human competency can support us to create this AI era? So that's the two questions behind the AI competence framework for students. So we define, the AI society is what do we want, what we don't want. We want our students to become critical AI citizens, not the AI addicts. And they should become responsible user of AI, not the deepfake distributor or believer. They should become a co-creator of AI tools, not wait for OpenAI to create AI tools for them, especially the unsustainable AI tools for them. They should not become the passive prompters, and if possible, they should be the leader of the next generation of AI, as we are observing from the 25 years kind of entrepreneurs in this area. They should not be only the root coder, because we know that we are promoting coding. With many coding, before we call root memorization, now I would like to see that we have a new word called root coding. And so we also have principle. Among others, we really promote the environmental sustainable AI. We call it climate friendly AI. And then once again, we have this framework. We're also targeting, but for students, because students is not a job, we are preparing them for the future. Teacher is a job. Teacher need to teach. They receive training. They go back to their school. They need to do their job. So in teachers, there's one more aspect than students. Students only have 4: human-centered mindset, ethics, we are the same. But for AI techniques, we want students to learn further and deeper, because our expectation is that countries will adopt this by setting up an AI curriculum like China is doing. Every year, they have 30, 40, even more learning hours allocated for this, in a way that the student will have opportunity to learn more, further, and deeper. And even we try to guide students to really unpack the black box of AI, to understand the AI system, to define AI system, and to learn how to design the AI system. And with this, again, it's a rudimentary AI literacy for all the students, even for all the citizens. This one, if any country like Hong Kong, I know your government has been contacting me to open an AI curriculum for your K-12 students. So when they exit the secondary school, to me, that's the mastery level. And if some students, we know that some students will have a strong interest in or strong potential in this area. So for this one, they may want to have the extended curriculum or extended outcome for the students who have a stronger AI talents. So that's the structure. Again, the validation you can see, you see it, even this one for the student competency, the policymakers think the ethics is more important. Human-centered management is more important, 27%. It's very, for the yes. And then you can see AI systems less. and even for the AI techniques, 27, and also human-centered mindsets, 23. So, and then once again, with the AI curriculum specification, we try to define the key terms. For example, from AI agency, we explicitly in this framework to introduce the AI citizenship. And secondly, how to make safe and responsible use, especially for students, how they can make the ethics of AI to make safe and responsible. And we use the word we call the embodied ethics, which means students need to understand AI from their personal life, from their personal learning, from their local context, to embody the understanding, interpretation, and the compliance of the AI ethics, and then to learn practical knowledge and skills on the safe and responsible use. And because students need to learn how to design, we introduced the term ethics by design to students, but we interpreted what do we mean by ethics by design, and especially for students. And for techniques, again, not only for the transferable knowledge, but we try to highlight the importance of interdisciplinary knowledge foundation for AI, and also the interdisciplinary AI curriculum, and also, if possible, this should focus on the task-based learning of AI techniques and knowledge. For AI system design, it's all very, very difficult, because I try to understand how AI company develop an AI system, and how we teach students to imitate this and to make it a reality for students. So I try to think from that perspective. But it's the first time maybe our AI competency framework explicitly inform students that they need to think when AI should not be used. And then probably also is the first AI competency framework to teach students that when you should think you shut down an AI system. It's not only that after test you try to optimize the AI system. If you find this AI system is really harmful, shut down. So they need to learn how to make decision on this. And then we also have the implementation suggestion, for example, how to build the interdisciplinary core AI curricula and the cluster AI curriculum. And we try to remind the curriculum designer to think what's the interactive kind of relation between AI and all kind of subject domain. Because now, after large language model, language subjects become very important for AI. And social science, because you have ethics and social studies, civic understanding, which means how this subject can contribute foundation knowledge to the learning of AI, but in return, how AI could transform our civic subject, our social study, or may turn back to the language subject, how AI could possibly transform the language subject. So that's our reminder. And then I use this figure to introduce how to build an AI system, curriculum system, including enabling and learning environment, covering open source database, open source programming, open source data, and algorithm. So, and then how to frame, anyway, if we learn or teach AI, we need to use some platform, how to choose the AI domain and the platform, how to tailor a spiral curriculum sequence like I introduced earlier. When on the grade 1, what you want to teach, grade 7, what you want to teach, and then to promote the professionalization of AI teachers, and to guide the cohort-based, not the cluster-based, but the cohort-based pedagogical methodology. So, and then again, even more important, it's my dream, but I don't have time to attend to this, how to build a competency-based assessment of student AI competency or their skills. And that's the impact. I will skip this. And we are also adapting the AI competence framework for school teachers and students now to higher education. For this, last year I conducted 2 larger surveys to the universities to ask them, we have this AI framework. Do you think you need the survey covered many questions. For example, how you are using AI, how often you are using AI, what kind of tools you are using, and we are analyzed by their grade level, by their subject. For example, if you are dean, you're a professor, you're a reader, you're assistant professor, associate professor, are you a student in bachelor, grade, first year, second year, or your master? We conduct this survey. I did not have time. I will not have time to introduce the detail, but we ask them, we have this kind of aspect, how you will evaluate this. You think they are, we rate them extremely important, very important, or important. We calculate the thing very important and important. We calculate, so you can see the validation for this aspect at this level. More than 92% of students think this one is very important. And for teachers, and we add AI for research, because for university, research is very important. But we calculate, interesting, all the higher education teachers, whether they are specialized, they are dedicated teacher without a research function, or they are dedicated full-time researcher without a teaching function, and both. So that's the data for both. And then we root out the data of those teachers only teaching but not doing researching. And then we find that the full-time researcher is really, really high, a little bit higher than the full-time teacher. So you can see the data. So we are confident, and then we came up with a new version of the AI competence framework for higher education educator. So it's still in process, but we also found that, what are the missing elements in this framework. We collected very useful. For example, the higher education teachers remind us that the sustainability should be explicitly surfaced, not to be hidden in the specification. So we highlight, and the inclusion also, which means all the teachers, students in higher education, university should have a global view. So and a global concern. So that's why you see for human agency, we will try to highlight the well-being, the digital well-being, and the well-being in the human AI interaction. And for Deepen, we want to highlight the sustainable and inclusive human accountability. And for the social responsibility, I think it's the right time to highlight the critiquing AI in the society. So it's more critical because the university professors, teachers, students are much, much more critical than the primary and secondary teachers and students. So under them, we will add AI for research, including how to use AI to inspire ideation, how to empower any kind of data, no matter the qualitative or quantitative, or even both. And finally, AI should be used for our human knowledge discovery. And for students, we did the same survey. But we think, because this is the generic AI course, it's not for the AI subject or AI domain. So for example, covering history, the student from history, even from very traditional, non-engineering background. So we want to lower the AI system design to be maybe some specialized AI tools use. That's the framework. So I want to conclude here. Once again, I want to thank Nancy Lo, Professor Nancy Lo, and the Faculty of Education, and to give me this opportunity, such amount of time to share my experience and my ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fengchun, for a very broad and overarching sort of introduction to all the work that you have done. And I'm really sorry that we're running out of time, but is there anyone, we can entertain one burning question? Yes.
Thank you so much for the talk. One question that I had was, what's the parents' role in guiding children to use AI appropriately? If you have any insights or any recommendation for papers, that would be great.
It's a very good question. Actually in these two AI framework, we did introduce the role of the parents, which means they also need to understand what kind of AI citizens they want their students to become, and how they can help monitor the use of AI, especially because I remember in the AI competency for students, we talk about the age restriction. for the use of, we call it independent use of chat without supervision. So which means we need to exercise. There's a huge debate over there, and not debate, actually some conclusions saying that, under a certain age, students should not independently use the chatbot without supervision. So, for example, in France, I think it's 14, and in Spain it's 15. They already passed the law. But to implement this age restriction, any government or AI company or schools need to cooperate with their parents. For example, to verify the age, because you can cheat the AI system to see that you are 26 years old, you are 30 years old. How can we verify? How can we monitor? So there's a lot of things to do, but I just want to stop here to introduce there's important rules.
Yeah, we really would want another hour at least to discuss this, but we don't have it. But I just want to raise just to share some thoughts. We don't have time to debate here, but I keep sort of hearing Fengchun say, oh, it's so painful, it's so painful, it's so painful. I can understand why it's so painful, because there's so many things that one need to be planning and doing. And to me, it's a very kind of traditional cascade model of curriculum development and then professional development, a very expert-led kind of process. But the AI world is changing ever so fast. So even the very basic assumptions of what the technology will be, what it can do, and so on. So to me, it's creating a kind of a conundrum. So how can we ever sort of be in the lead? I mean, we're still running far behind the technology all the time. So thank you very much, Fengchun, for a very inspiring talk and laying out the complexity of the terrain for us. And we do hope that there will be some opportunity for you to come and interact with us and to answer our questions at some point in person.